To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's
puertas.
a wild ride in the wilderness.
When invisibility doors change.
Howdy, folks! So today on Miles from Main Street, we are drafting shows for our perfect park. But first, a message from Bryan.
Yeah, so you guys know what I'm going to say. We got to go out and subscribe to the show. Mash that button, as Mikhailo likes to say. We have got some great content coming your way soon, and you don't want to miss it. So go and subscribe. And I will also throw out, please, a request to put a review out on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Let us know how we're doing with that review, and if you want to send me that you did that review, I'll send you a keychain too. How's that sound?
Ooh, a keychain.
Yes. Haunted Mansion, July 28th. There's still no show times yet, but we're shooting for around a 6:00 show on opening day, and we will be getting together after the movie as well, somewhere nearby. We can have a drink if you'd like, just to get to know each other and talk a little bit. Mikhailo and I will be there along with some family of ours. And I know there's some other people that are planning to be there. So please make sure to come and do that. And as I said before, 10 people come and I will give away a Haunted Mansion movie poster. So I hope you guys can make it out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think the movie's going to be great.
Yeah, and you may even get to meet my wife.
Who you just married.
Who I just married.
And you're going to be heading off on your honeymoon in how many days?
It is about 2 days. And Bryan, can you guess where I'm going on my honeymoon?
Yes, we talked about this before. I believe you're going somewhere in Nebraska, right?
Yes, I'm a big Cornhusker fan, so I'm going to the Nebraska Cornhuskers Stadium. I can't even get there. Of course, we're going to Disney World.
Yes. I am looking forward to hearing all about it when you return. I know some of the plans you have, and I think that's going to be awesome.
Yes, we're very excited.
And you get to use your animal pass.
Our and I can't even say it wrong. Our animal pass. That's the pass that lets you into Muppet Land.
Yes. So I'm excited to hear all the fun things you get to do for the first time because you're an annual pass holder.
Yes, we actually, this isn't a news podcast, but I was looking up what the new annual pass VIP section area looks like. And I mean, I was hoping it was going to be kind of like the DVC lounge, and it's nothing like the DVC lounge. It's just kind of like a roped off area with the tables that they have in there are kind of cool because they're like different annual pass designs. But it's like they've got some stale M&Ms from Halloween and some nuts and some
Guardians
water.
of the Galaxy, like peanuts of some sort. But you also get to go to Sunshine Seasons and buy some annual pass treats.
Yeah, like a Figment annual pass, like dome cake or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't wait to hear about that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'll probably buy the annual pass ears just because I can.
So we talked about defining what a show was, and we decided that fireworks shows do not count. What else?
Parades do not count.
But something like the Country Bear Jamboree, that's going to count.
Correct. Kind of, I guess my thought, and you guys give me crap all the time because I actually do consider something like the Country Bears Jamboree a ride. I'm doing air quotes right now. But I do understand that it's also kind of showy. So I have decided that that's okay. Like something like that would be considered a ride. Something like A Bug's Life, that would also be, or it would be considered a show. Something like A Bug's Life would be a show. Anything that like kind of has a stage, and anything that you sit and watch. Anything that's kind of like passive. And the one that had to take a little bit of thinking, but we both kind of arrived at the same conclusion, was Carousel of Progress. And we decided that that was a ride because it moves you. It actually kind of moves you around the stage. The show happens on a stage, but it actually moves you around. If you've ever watched Jurassic Park, and what they sit in, and the guy says, "Well, it's kind of a ride." That's because it moves you. So that's
Right.
kind of
Yep.
what we were going with.
Yeah. So without further ado, Mikhailo, who gets the first pick tonight?
That is Mr. Bryan.
Darn right. And with the first pick of the 2023 top shows of Walt Disney World Parks draft, for my park, I am taking none other than Fantasmic.
I'm shocked. I'm shooketh. I am not shocked. If I had first pick, this would have been my first pick also.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, it's a nighttime spectacular that we're defining as a show, so boom, I got it. Before we ruled out fireworks, it was on my list.
Yeah. Well, and Bryan did mention that it has fireworks, but I think the defining factor here is that it has showtimes and it has live performers in it.
It has a theater setting as
Yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm. You sit and you're a passive participant, but it's. I mean, I think it's definitely the best show at Disney. Like, there's just so much to it. There's fireworks. There's like a theatrical feel to it with the actors in it. There's lights. I love the lighting. Somebody who I'm Facebook friends with actually programmed the lighting to it. So that's pretty cool. It's just it just kind of like checks all those boxes of like really great Disney shows. So
yeah, absolutely. And I really enjoy the Frozen and the Moana sections that they've added to it. I think I can't wait to see it live. I think that it was a great addition to the show. I mean, Elsa always hits big, right? So along with Moana, but it's done well. And Steamboat Willie at the end is going to grab me every time. I just love seeing that. So, yeah, I've always been a big supporter of Fantasmic since the first time I ever went to Disney World, which was, 1999 was the first time there. And they actually had Fantasmic going at that point. And I told everyone it's best show on property. And I was including Wishes in the middle of that, which in 99, it may not even been Wishes at that point, was it? Could have been.
I don't know how old Wishes was.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think in 99, though, it may have been Fantasy in the Sky. But anyway, yeah, I've loved Fantasmic ever since then. And it's been something that I've always made sure that I've seen when we're there. So, yeah, number one.
Nice. Yeah, I totally agree. This is like taking Aaron Rodgers number one in the draft. Or wait,
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I think everyone can get behind Tom Brady at this point.
So, with my first pick for my park, I am selecting the Hocus Pocus stage show.
Ooh, wow. I didn't really even think about
stage
holiday
shows.
parties. Hocus Pocus is a great show.
Yeah.
I do enjoy me some Sandersons. So I like it. I like it. And this just furthers the point that my wife was making to me today that she's not going to my park. She's not happy with me. She thinks that the trade I made for Mickey and Minnie's and giving up the safari was a terrible trade, that I should never have given up the safari. You know, I gave my reasons last time about why it was okay. But you know,
Bryan, like, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Bryan. I want to go to your park to ride Winnie the Pooh. I mean,
yes. My daughter, on the other hand, was trying to get behind my wife and saying that she wouldn't go to my park either, until I reminded her that I had Sleepy Hollow and Satuli Canteen.
Yep.
So hopefully tonight she'll want to go to my park a little bit more.
Go to some shows.
Although I'm sorry, honey, I didn't get Hocus Pocus. So that's a tag against me, I guess.
Yeah, and so Hocus Pocus was one that like I've seen live, and I was worried that I wasn't going to like it as much as like all of the videos that I've seen where I've been like, this show is going to be awesome. But it definitely lived up to the hype. I thought it's very well done every year, and the fact that it's Hocus Pocus themed, and like Sanderson sisters are like the part, like the main characters, is very cool because I love that movie. And I honestly, I think Halloween is the better holiday at Disney. I like Christmas as a holiday, and I like everything that they do, but I mean the Halloween party is definitely the better party to go to, in my opinion. So
I don't know, you get cookies instead of all that candy at the Christmas party.
Yeah, but candy.
I have not been able to do the Christmas party yet, so I guess that, you know, that would be something I need to do to be able to compare them. But I do enjoy me a Christmas party or a Halloween party. So, you know, having Hocus Pocus on your list, I think that's a great choice. I hope, you know, at Easter time when we're all thinking of bunnies, that, you know, the witches are okay with it.
Yeah, I'm sure they would be. That's true. That is something to think about, is that this isn't, I can't just whip out Hocus Pocus as like a seasonal holiday thing. It would have to happen all the time, which actually this would be a cool, I'm going off the rails right now, Bryan, but maybe maybe we need to have a section where it's theoretical lands, like theoretical things you can do to your park. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, and that's something that at the end of all of these drafts that we're going to do is we're going to review everything that we took. I am actually already in the process of forming what my park looks like. And, you know, like maybe you've got in mind a Halloween section where it's Halloween all the time. I mean, it was New Year's Eve every night at Pleasure Island. So why not have Halloween all the time, right?
Well, I mean, I do have Tower of Terror and Haunted Mansion. So
right.
That would
so
fit
there you go. It would.
Yeah, there's the show there. Yep.
So I think that review show is going to be perfect. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about the parks we created. And you know, we talked to Topper Helmers about his park. And by the time people hear this, they will hear that we had talked to Tom Thorderson about how he created parks. And that's kind of fitting in with all these drafts, like how we're building parks and stuff. I think it all kind of comes together. So I think, you know, it'll be a good culmination, as they like to say in those Happy Madison movies. So anyway, with my second pick of the night, I am going to take Festival of The Lion King.
I knew it.
It is one of our favorite shows, if not the favorite show of the family. We, again, absolutely make sure we do it every single time. It is better, I think, if you're closer. Though one of the times we watched it was like from the back row and it wasn't as fun. Still a good show, still fun to watch, but not as fun as if you are up closer. So if you can get there early, wait for the second, wait for the next show, not necessarily go in right away if you have that opportunity. I think there's a lot of really good things that you can catch if you're a little bit closer and you get a little more involved that way. That's just how I feel about it. But I mean, you got the tumble monkeys, you've got the fire dancer person, and you've got tremendous vocals with that soundtrack that everybody knows. And I love going to see that show. It's wonderful. And Timon is hilarious. So there you go.
Yeah, it's always been a show that I would pass on. I didn't go see it until recently. And after seeing it, it's now become a must-do for us because it's a really good show and it's really well put together. I love the performers in it and the singers and everything. And yeah, it's again one of the best shows in Disney. It's just so well done. So yeah, it's definitely a must-do for my family. Okay, so for my second pick, I am going to pick the Jameters.
I thought about them and
I mean, okay, and this was my thought process. Bryan and I, before every show, we end up talking about drum corps because we're a bunch of drum nerds. And it was definitely on my list because of just kind of what kind of show it is and having friends in it. And so my thought process was if Bryan thinks of this, he may take it. So that's why I'm taking the Jameters at number 2.
I think they're worthy of a number 2 as well. I love watching them. We were in 2019 standing at the rope waiting for Epcot to open, and they brought us into a point in front of Spaceship Earth about a half an hour before the park was going to open, and they brought the Jameters out to entertain us while we waited. That was maybe one of the best times I've ever had watching them because I had nothing else to worry about. And I could just stand there and take it in. And yeah, I had thought about them. I had them on my list, and they'd fit in my park really well. But I'll live. I'll be okay. I think that's a great choice. All right. Well, you're kind of making this easy on me so far. For number 3, I am taking Finding Nemo the Musical Spectacular.
Yep.
Yes. This Broadway show, I mean, we should just full blown make this into a Broadway production. It's almost, I think it's a 25-minute show. I think they cut it down just a couple of minutes from what it used to be. But I mean, the performers are so good. The score is so good. Not only are they performing these vocals, but they have to handle a puppet at the same time. And, some of them are riding on their puppet instead of making him swim around, right? But, like Big Blue World, right? Big Blue.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the big blue world.
I love that song. Like, and I will sing that all day long once I've heard it. And you can hear it in more places than one. You can go to Epcot and hear it in the ride there. And yeah, I just love going to see. It's a great point to sit down, catch a little AC, and take a break and see a great performance. This is a do not miss type of show.
For sure. Yeah. I totally agree. And now that they've made it a little bit shorter, it's a little easier to digest, and you're not taking like all of this time out of your park day to watch the show. But yes, it's definitely the best Broadway style show that they have going at Disney right now. So it's very, very cool.
Yes, it's very good. They've had some great ones in that theater prior to it, but now that this is there, it's got to stay. And I was glad when they said it was coming back. I was so happy.
Yeah, me too. So, with my third pick, I feel like I have to go Broadway as well. I have to have a show like that in my park. So I'm going to go with Beauty and the Beast. And it's not, I mean, I would have wanted to do Nemo. If I was picking a Broadway style show, it would be Nemo. But Beauty and the Beast is good too. The only thing I have with Beauty and the Beast is that it's very much on the performers to perform, because it's like there's not much going on that stage. When the Beast transforms, it's like High School Musical style. Like they don't really have that many effects going on in this musical. But that's a good thing. I mean they're not puppets, like the people that are dressed up in like the costumes and everything. The costumes look really cool. And the dancing is all really great. It's all just to a track. But I think Belle is like the only one that actually sings, I think. I think Gaston sings too. But yeah, like most of it's to a track. But the dancing and the performing and just Beauty and the Beast in general is a really good musical and story. So it's definitely will fit as like a good Broadway style show in my park.
I think it's interesting that we're picking some of these shows like we are, because they're, some of these are like shows that were just created on the fly as a filler and a temporary show. Festival of the Lion King was definitely one of those shows. They wanted to just put something in Camp Mini Mickey in that corner for a brief period because they needed something over there, and they just came up with this quick, and it's been there for 20 years. They did the same thing with Beauty and the Beast. It was a filler show, something that was just going to be there for a little bit of time, and now it's been there for 25 years. Hoop-de-Doo Review, the longest running dinner show in the country.
And if we were able to pick shows from anywhere, Hoop-de-Doo would definitely be on my list.
Yes. Yeah, I think we would have been fighting over that one for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's just amazing how they fall into some of these shows that, they just kind of throw them together quick, and then there are these giant hits. So, and the charming thing that I like about the Beauty and the Beast show is the costumes for the furniture. Lumiere and Cogsworth, and then you've got Chip, and they're all the same size, and they're really cartoony, like from the animation type of stuff. Yep. I find that charming about it, and it kind of just fits, like you said, like there's nothing going on that stage. But when you've got all those people running around in those costumes, you don't need much on that stage. And so I love that part of the show. I'll be interested to see where this fits into your park.
I know, I was thinking that too, but I mean, the way that it's put together, it's a theater. So I feel like I can just kind of like plop a theater somewhere and it'll make sense. That's kind of what they did with studios anyways, but it's also a movie, so it makes sense. So
There you go. There you go. All right. So on to number 4. I am taking with my number 4 pick the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular.
and you can have it.
Wow. Wow. I love this show. It took me forever to see it, and I finally got to see it, and I love it. I miss that they don't have the audience member be a part of the show now, or any of that. Like, they usually had like 6 or 7 that would come up, and there would be somebody planted as an audience member too, I believe. Or no, one of the audience members was a plant that they put into the show, and you thought he was really cool because of it. I miss that they don't do that part anymore. But I recently watched Ron on the Go doing this, showing the show, and the beginning, not necessarily with the ball rolling at the beginning, but the next part with all the spears popping up as he's running across that stage, and like they really look like near misses, and they're probably just rubber, but it looks so cool the way that they do that. It's not a simple show. There's that airplane that spins, and they have to watch out for these propellers that are flying around as they're fighting. It's a lot of fun to watch, and I am surprised that you don't want it. I think this is a great show. I thought I'd get you on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I have actually never liked this show. It's always been something that like I can pass on. Like, I feel like I've only seen it once, and that was when I was like a little kid. So yeah, I don't know what it is that like, and it's like I like Indiana Jones. Like, Indiana Jones movies are good movies. I don't know. I'm just not interested in seeing stuff like that. Like, I was never big into like lights, motors, action, and that was kind of like the same principle where it's like, oh, the stuff behind the movies. So yeah, I mean, it looks cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not a bad show. It's just not something I'm too interested in, and it's taking up so much space in that park. Yeah, I almost wish they would just bulldoze it and put in the Indiana Jones ride. I think that would be cool. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's has never been something that kind of like pulls me in. Like, I've never really been too interested in it. So that's my reason. It's not a good reason, but that's my reason.
That's interesting. I think you should go try it again and see what you think now. I mean, if you haven't watched it since you were a kid, have you watched it with Ron on the Go? I know you watch him a lot.
I have, actually, yes, because Ron goes there a lot.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I've watched it while Ron was watching it, and I still just think, I don't know, I could be doing so many other things with my time while I'm there. So,
well, I think it might be one of our stops on our next trip, because I haven't seen it in a while, and I'd like to go and watch it again. So, happy to have it. I am glad to have it, and
it's a good show. Yeah, 100%.
I don't think we've ever talked about Indy.
We haven't, because I don't like it.
Well, I should have guessed that, I guess, because then I could have put it down the list. Hopefully I don't lose something here with your next pick.
Well, for my next pick, and this is going to be my 4th show. With my 4th show, I am selecting the Frozen show.
On my list.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's a good show, and it's fun because, I mean, that whole room, like, they do a really good job with that room, and honestly, I'm kind of picking the show because of the lighting. the lighting that they have in that show is actually very cool, and that's typically kind of what I'm looking at most of the time, because all they really do is like they've got a video wall, and they're like, oh, Anna's getting ready for the whatever, the coronation, and then they like show the movie clip of Anna singing that song, which is still kind of cool, but like that's kind of like how they go. And then at the end, the person sings "Let It Go." I'm doing air quotes, but like really, she's just lip syncing to "Let It Go," which I'm okay with because like, I mean, it's for little kids, but it's still like a decent show. Like it's like a well done show, and it's Frozen, so it's like still cool. And that room is a lot of fun. They put the Snope in, so it like fake snows on you and everything. It's a lot of fun. So we always like, if unless we're like super pressed for time, like I think we're always going to want to go see that show when we're at Hollywood Studios. So yeah, definitely on my list and in my park.
Great pick. My daughter loved it when she got to go. She was singing along, barely able to sit in her seat. And, she was right on the edge, loving every minute of it. And, like you said, I mean, it's really meant for the kids, and allowing people to be able to sing along with it, I think that's huge. And, my older two quickly got sick of Frozen because it was everywhere, but they did love it as well. And I'm sure my older daughter would love to go see that again, the sing along. So, yeah, I mean, when you're building a park, you got to appeal to masses. You have to have something for everyone. I think you did a great job with that, picking that. Yeah, Muppet Vision 3D, though, appeals to a lot of people.
Oh my goodness.
That's my last pick.
Oh no.
If you haven't watched Muppet Mayhem on Disney Plus yet, you're missing out. You need to watch that show. It's so good. Muppet Vision 3D has always been a favorite of mine, not only from the show itself, but the gags on the way in. The gags when you first walk into the building, the gags within the pre-show. I adore the Muppets. I adore the show. The only thing better was if I could have seen We Are the Muppets, but alas, that didn't last very long. And now we've got Muppet Vision 3D though, and I love me some Kermit. I love me some Gonzo, and Fozzie the Bear, man. He's got all the good jokes. So it's so good. It's so much fun. I love when they bring Sweetums out, and you leave in the whole, well, I don't want to spoil it, but when you leave, like, everything's changed. And I just it's so much pure Muppets. And Jim Henson had a hand in that at the time when they created it, and that's why it's still pure Muppet. And they've caught that lightning in a bottle for Muppets Mayhem on Disney Plus. Go watch it. It's awesome. Mikhailo, I hope you've watched it.
I have not. I'm not good at watching new things.
Turn off Ron on the Go and watch it. Like, watch it.
I can't think of what we typically watch at night. We do watch a lot of Ron on the Go, but honestly, I think we're still watching reruns of The Imagineering Story.
Also a good show, but you gotta go check out Muppets Mayhem.
Yeah,
so good. It's so good.
I'm a big fan of this ride also. And I love the Muppets. Like, Muppets movies are awesome, and I'm so glad that they have their own little corner of this park, because like the whole area is a lot of fun, kind of like with pizza rizzos and everything. I like it a lot, and so I do enjoy this ride. The only thing is that this ride is,
you keep saying ride.
Oh yeah, well, that's the thing, is I consider shows like this rides, because it, like, I still kind of like categorize it in that same way, but it's definitely a show. Like, it's literally a movie. um but yeah, like this, the only reason I didn't put it on my list is the grime factor that's got going on right now. It is sorely in need of a refresh, but, and I mean, we could be going down a rabbit hole right now. I think they're not doing it because they're going to be replacing it with something. Like the seats in this auditorium, some of them are disgusting. Like, I can't remember who it was. I think it was WDW Today did something on like how disgusting the seats are, like some of the seats are at Muppet Vision. So that's kind of like the only thing that got me, where I was like, this ride definitely needs a refresh. But that's the thing, is that like I think they're not doing it because they've got other plans for that area. So like they're not putting any work into some of that stuff because they've got other plans. So we'll see. But yeah, it's a national treasure of a ride, and it has a lot of nostalgia for me. So, and I actually have a really great story about Muppet Vision. When I was a little kid, I don't remember exactly when this was, but I was on Muppet Vision with my parents. I was sitting next to my dad, and there's a part in Muppet Vision where he says, "This is the thing that gets created." I almost said Figment, but that's Figment. But it's like the little guy that gets created in Muppet Vision. And at one point he's like, all these people think that I'm talking to them, but I'm really talking to you. And the 3D comes way out of the screen, and it looks like this guy is like pointing at you. And I remember seeing that and then looking over at my parents and being like, he's talking to me. And my dad being like, yeah. It was just so, I think about that every time that sometimes I'll be sitting at work and I'll think about that moment in my life, because it was just so like, that has always stuck with me about that ride. That the 3D was so cool, and just the nostalgia of that ride. So I just had to share that story.
I love the 3D as well. Like how much they do come out of the screen. Like I feel like that's more than most 3D you'll see. Having that sticking in your face like that, and they do it more than once. So yeah, the grime, I am going to leave that alone. I don't know. I agree that there's kind of a funk to it, but it also kind of is part of the charm. Maybe
the charm.
So anyway, I don't know where I'm going to put this in my park yet, but I love it. I love the show. I will always try to get there. It's never got a very long wait. It's nice that they have this in the park, because it fills a need in that park, kind of like Frozen does, where it's something you can do without a long wait. It gives people something to do that's not a marquee event type of ride, which that's all that park seems to be anymore, is just hit after hit after hit. So,
100%.
Yeah. So anyway, your last pick.
My last pick. I am going to go ahead and pick Tiki Room.
I like it.
Yep.
Tiki Room's fun.
Tiki Room is fun. And I've recently gotten more into Tiki Room. And it's, I honestly, I think it's because of one of the experiences that I had at Tiki Room. Tiki Room was kind of like Indiana Jones for me at one point, where I was kind of like, Tiki Room. Like it's dumb. Like I don't need to ride Tiki Room. And then I rode Tiki Room with Kristen on one of our trips, and we went and we got, this was like literally during COVID because we had to be wearing masks, I'm pretty sure at one point. But we took our special drink, our tropical serenade, into the show and like sat there eating our delicious drink and watching this show, and it was like awesome. Like there was just something about that show happening and enjoying that treat that like it's the only way that I want to do Tiki Room. Like we've done it every time since that same way. And it's just a lot of fun. And one of my favorite parts of Tiki Room is kind of when it starts raining. And I don't know why this effect kind of gets me. It's almost kind of like ASMR, how like your body kind of like starts to feel a certain way when you hear certain things or see certain things. That's kind of what it is for me. I've always enjoyed like a rainy day or like a thunderstorm in the distance or something like that.
Sure.
And so I love that part of the show where like it feels like it's raining outside, and the effects that they have. And like they're like super practical effects. Like I don't think they've changed these effects since it was like put up in 1971. And so it does a really good job. And the fact that like everything moves, like there are so many things in that showroom that like moves, that like talks and like does all kinds of stuff. So it's so cool to kind of like look around and see it, all the things that are moving around. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's super classic. Started in Disneyland, came to Disney World. And so it's a classic Disney show. And I love it. So
it is very classic. Yeah. It's funny in 2017 when it was just my wife and I, we decided I needed to go see these shows, and so we started with Country Bears. Ha ha ha! It's really funny. This is fun. I like this. Got over to Tiki Room. Oh yeah, okay.
There's blood in the saddle. There's blood on. I'm sorry, I just had to.
I enjoyed Country Bears. I still enjoy Country Bears, but we enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. We walked into the Tiki Room, and it was fun, but not as much fun for me as Country Bears was for some reason. Then we got around, we did Carousel, and I was like, okay. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, by the time I got there, and I love the Carousel of Progress. I think it's a very important piece of history, and I think the story is still fun. I love the song that's in there, so I don't want to say anything bad about it, but by the time we got to it, it was kind of like, nah, to me. But I've ridden it since, and I still enjoy it. So it was just interesting that I had this big build up, and I really enjoyed Country Bears, and it just kind of slowly fell apart from there.
Yeah, I think a lot of these shows, like especially those three shows, I like for different reasons. I'm not a huge Country Bears fan. I think that's the one I like the least. But still, like, I mean, it's got like it's another one of those rides that you can get on with like little to no wait. Or I mean, it's a show, and like you don't really have to wait too long for it. You can go see it, and it's like not bad. And then Tiki Room, I feel like I've had really great experiences with it. And so that's kind of like why I really enjoy it. And it's also just very classic. And then Carousel of Progress has kind of like the Walt vibe, where it's like this is something that like Walt put together. Like Walt was there overseeing a lot of like what was happening. And so that's kind of like why I enjoy that ride. So like I have like a reason why I enjoy all of them. But
yeah, it's anyway, it's going to be fun to have in your park. I'm glad we got to talk about the Tiki Room a little bit. So Should we just do some trivia together?
Yeah.
In which country was the first Disney park outside of the United States built?
That would be China. Or Japan? Wait. Wait. Yes, I'm going to say China.
That would be wrong.
Really? It's Japan? Wow.
Tokyo.
Yep.
It was being done the same time as Epcot.
Yep. And they loved it. Tokyo Disney is great. And the cool thing about Tokyo Disney is it was like a mismatch of like Disneyland rides and Disney World rides, because they basically took like all the blueprints from those two parks and put together a park. They even have Cinderella's castle as their castle in Tokyo Disneyland, which is pretty cool.
What did Walt Disney want to originally call Disneyland?
So Disneyland originally was going to be a studio park, kind of like Universal, because it was going to be like on or like across the street from the studio. And then eventually it became, Walt had so many other ideas about it, it was becoming a little too much. And I'm pretty sure that they proposed it and Burbank was like, nah, you guys can't do that. I want to say it like something like Studio Park, something studio, something like that. Yeah, I feel like it was like the name was something like that, like something studio. Go ahead and give it to me.
It was Mickey Mouse Park.
Oh, yeah.
And Roy did not believe in creating an amusement park, and thought that it was going to be a terrible waste of money and refused to let Walt use Mickey Mouse on the park. Not until after it became a success did they actually put Mickey Mouse at the entrance in the flower bed. So yeah, he wanted to call it Mickey Mouse Park, but then Roy said no, and he went with Disneyland instead.
And it's crazy to think about. It's crazy to think about the fact that so many people were telling Walt, like, you're crazy. Like, this is never going to be, like, you're never going to make any money. Like, no one's going to show up. But then to think about what this park was on day one, like what was there and like the attention to detail that Walt just had to do, with everyone telling him like, you're crazy. Like, this is not going to be a success. What are you even doing? And now it's the biggest money maker in the Disney ecosystem. So I always found that crazy. And going to Disneyland and seeing like what Disneyland is, even though it's gone through a bunch of different iterations and refurbishments and stuff like that, but just like looking like, because it's like there are certain areas that are pretty close to like what it was on opening day, and just thinking about how crazy that was, that like Walt was like making the first real theme park, and Disneyland is the first real theme park, and it's like still one of the best, is just like totally crazy.
He was I don't know, he had a lot of foresight and really knew how to take his vision to a complete end. I to this day will tell you that had Disney gotten another 10 years, we would have the Epcot that he envisioned, and he would have made it work.
Well, I say a lot that, and this is, I'm about to bring politics into it. It's sad that they're trying to strip Disney of like their city ship or whatever. Like they're trying to strip Disney of having the power over their own cities, because that's kind of like what Disney World became. Like Disney World in itself kind of became what Walt wanted Epcot to be. And that was a city that is controlled by the Disney company that is planned out extremely well. And if you watch one of like there was like this news segment that they did at one point, and you can see like there's a boat going by and there's a monorail and this guy standing in front of the Contemporary hotel that's like an A-frame. And this guy was like, Disney has made urban planning, has like done so much about urban planning, and like everything looks amazing, and we think the Disney company needs to start making cities and stuff like that. And it's like they were totally correct, and that's kind of like what Walt wanted, was his own city. And so I say that a lot, that like that's kind of what Disney World ended up being. Like, we didn't get the Epcot that like Walt envisioned, but that's kind of what the Epcot is what Disney World is.
Kind of. I mean, he wanted people to actually live within the city too, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I have one more for you, and we'll call it a night at that point. But what shop was found on Main Street up until 1991 that today we would frown upon?
I've got two options in my head right now. I've got the cigar shop and I've got the lingerie shop, because there were two of those.
You are right. I had forgotten about that.
Which one?
The lingerie shop.
Okay, so maybe it's the cigar shop.
I know. I'm giving it away. It is. It's the tobacco shop, which is, I believe, why that Native American statue is sitting outside or sitting on Main Street. That's where that shop was. I had forgotten that there was a lingerie shop.
There was.
Yeah. There was also a magic shop.
Oh, I loved that magic shop. They used to do little like commercials for the Disney Channel, and they would like walk into the magic. This is the magic shop in Disneyland, obviously, but they would walk into that magic shop, and this magician would just show magic tricks for the Disney Channel, and I loved it. Like, I loved that those like little like commercial clips on the Disney Channel. And when I went to Disney World one time, I was like, I'm going to go to the magic shop and I'm going to find that guy and I'm going to tell him that I watch him every day on TV. But it never happened because he's obviously an actor and he wasn't there.
That's the problem with some of those Disney commercials, is that it's not real what they're showing you. Yeah, so that's some trivia. You know, I should probably dig out a trivia question. We haven't done one in a little bit here for our listeners to win some wonderful prizes. So give me your answers. I will give you until June 18th to give us an answer to this very trivia question. And all you have to do is just send us a DM on Instagram or Facebook, or even send us an email, milesfrommainstreetpodcast@gmail.com. All of our socials can be found in the show notes. Please come on out and follow us there. So, in the Disney film Mary Poppins, according to Mary Poppins' tape measure, who is extremely stubborn and suspicious? Again, send us your answers through the socials or our email, and you have until June 18th.
Well, I feel like the draft went very well. We were able to do some trivia tonight, and I was able to hang out with my buddy Bryan. But like we always say, some live close,
but others don't.
So let's talk about it. We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.